Hi guys, and welcome to the CPFC podcast with me, your host, Alfred Greenbrook. Today in pod 2, I'll be looking forward to the game against Watford at the weekend, and we'll be discussing the match as well as the latest team news. We will also be hearing from Pardew and what he had to say before the game. I will also be giving you an insight to my predicted lineup, so let's begin.
Crystal Palace, where eagles fly. People never gave us a chance, but we proved them wrong. They said we were wasting our time, but we were strong. 'Cause our fans made a winning sound. It was echoing around the ground. Crystal Palace, we passed the test.
So let's begin with the intro. Palace host Watford for the first time since the first day of the 2012-13 season, searching for the first victory in the Premier League in 8 games. If recent history is anything to go by, then Eagles fans will be looking at the visit of the Hornets to provide a victory, with Palace winning 7 of the past 10 meetings between the sides, including a 1-0 victory at Vicarage Road back in September. The winner in that encounter came from a penalty spot, courtesy of Yohan Cabaye, continuing the trend that has seen the opening goal of the game come from the spot in 3 of the last 4 meetings. Like Palace, Watford's bright start has fizzled out and have only won once in their last 8 games and have failed to score on the road since Boxing Day. Now for the opposition view. Quique Sanchez-Flores has said, "We respect Crystal Palace a lot. I was very impressed when they played us at Vicarage Road. Okay, they are in a bad run like us, but they have a very good coach, they have very good players, and I respect them a lot. We need to try to look for our best performance, and I think that very quickly we are going to come back with a good run. We are positive, we always believe that we can win against every single opponent, but this is our first year and we are building a team. We have been working together for 6 months, and we need to try and stay calm and confident." Now for the team news. Crystal Palace. Alan Pardew has said that Dwight Gale could be involved at some point after being injured at the start of December, and Connor Wickham can play again after his 3-match ban, but the Eagles boss has stated that Emmanuel Adebayor will start up front. Yannick Bolasie and Bakary Saka are still a week away, while Pardew has also suggested that James McArthur could return before the end of the season after recovering from his knee injury. Jason Puncheon is still set to be out for a month with a torn hamstring. Watford. Troy Deeney is set to return to the Hornets lineup after being dropped to the bench because of illness. Defender Miguel Britos is set for a comeback after a recent thigh problem, with Joe Estegard still out for the foreseeable future. Now to move on to the stats between the two teams, Watford and Crystal Palace. Watford 7 and Crystal Palace 9 have conceded the fewest goals in the first half of the Premier League games this season. Only Southampton, 454, have fired in more crosses from open play than the Eagles, 436, this season in the Premier League. Watford have allowed their opponents to make a league-high 480 crosses from open play this season, while they have attempted the 19th fewest themselves, on 300. The Hornets have caught their opponents offside in the most in the league this season, 84 times, while Palace have caught their opponents offside in a league-low 30 times. Palace have scored a league-high 8 goals from defenders this season. Finally, we're going to talk about the officials for the game and the tickets. Rob McNally has awarded a league-high 10 penalties in the 17 Premier League matches that he has taken charge of in the 15-16 season, including Connor Wickham's against Stoke City in December, his only Eagles action this term. So the referee for the game will be Rob McNally, the assistants will be R. McDoodle and M. Perry, and the fourth official is Kay Hill. Now the tickets for the game are sold out, so if you were hoping to go, there are no more tickets left, but also you could actually watch them live on a stream. So there you have it, that's my match preview. Now we're going to listen to what Pardew had to say before the game.
How can we start some team news, please? What are your decisions and considerations if who's out?
Well, we have Gailey hopefully available for this game. He's trained so far this week, so fingers crossed for him. Connor obviously returns in terms of selection after his ban, so a little bit better. the better news really for us comes probably next week when Balassi and Sacco should be back. They're both running at the moment and very close. So much better news for us, particularly offensively.
Balassi and Sacco, are they able to train with the group at the minute, or will they be really...
No, they're still to the side at the moment.
Do you think a week of training should get them close enough to the sort of match day squad?
Possible, yeah.
Yeah. Well, James MacArthur, why do you think he didn't need to have surgery this week, and was that actually a bit of a boost for him in terms of the timeline?
I think it's always a boost for a professional player not to go under the knife, so to speak, and have surgery. The surgeon was quite happy that it should heal itself. There is a time element to it, of course, so it won't be an immediate return. But yeah, much better news, and good for him and good for us.
Does that mean he could be back before the end of the season?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That's huge, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good for us. Yeah, he's an important player, and we've had a terrible run of injuries, really, really terrible. And that sort of was hopefully our last one. If we can put them all behind us now and move on, that would be lovely.
One story that I saw this week was about Yohan possibly going to China, but it didn't seem to make too much sense from a Palace point of view, bearing in mind MacArthur's injury and the fact that you couldn't bring anyone in to replace him. Is that about it in a nutshell?
Pretty close.
Is there the accuracy and the interest?
Well, I've heard nothing. I've not seen anything. It just seems to be a little agenda at the moment. You know, the Chinese window, I believe, is still open, so, you know, probably we'll get loads of it going on. All the Premier League clubs linked with players to China. It is now a significant market by the looks of it, and it will impact on Premier League teams. So it's not something that we should take lightly. We need to keep our eye on that situation.
What do you think the impact would be? I mean, it gives the agents an opportunity to drive their position in negotiations, I imagine.
Yeah, I think the agent's quite enjoying it, yeah, from what I can understand. Yeah, so, yeah, I'm sure they're giving their tremendous insight and knowledge of our game into the Chinese market.
In terms of Connor being back available, do you think he's learned a bit of a lesson after experience the last few weeks? Have you tried to make sure he has?
Well, of course, he was fined heavily for the incident because it's uncharacteristic for our players to do something like that. I genuinely feel he didn't intend to catch him where he did. I think he was genuinely moving his arm to get him off him because he was holding him. And that's something we experience at this club. We're good at set plays, the best in the division. So, you know, we get a lot of holding and never get a reward for that. So perhaps it was a bit of frustration.
Two last things. Can Leicester win the league? And are you excited at watching the top end of the table, even if you're not involved in it? Football fan, and do you like what we're seeing with Leicester making a push?
Yeah, a bit jealous of Leicester, of course. Us clubs who you could argue are a similar vein have done an unbelievable job so far. The manager and the players, and of course the romance in you wants to see them pull it off. But the big clubs won't let them do it easily. We've got a big game this weekend. It'll be interesting to watch. Yeah, of course, it's all our players and staff all watching that closely.
And it's been a bit of a thing this week about ticket prices. Do you have sympathy with fans at the minute who, up and down the country and you know, all over the place, might start to feel like they're being squeezed with that? Do you feel for them a bit?
Yeah, because I think the owners of the football clubs, not so much the chief execs, because the chief execs have to run football clubs and look at the bottom line, so it's a slightly different agenda. But the owners of the Premier League clubs, and we have a lot of foreign owners, need to really consider carefully that they don't lose the core supporters that we have. Because if they think that it's just the product on the pitch that makes the Premier League what it isn't. It's the atmosphere, it's the drive from those core supporters that makes the atmosphere and the game unfold the way it does. You won't have those dramatic finishes, those edgy games, those real conflictual games that we have without them. So if they are, and they are the main ones driving it, I can't see too many lawyers or doctors in the corporate areas moaning too much. And they get the best service in the world. Trust me, I go around the world. So our corporate fan has nothing to worry about, in my opinion. But I do think that the core fan, when he's making these kind of messages, we need to listen.
You stopped the losing streak last weekend against Swansea, and in this press conference last week, you actually said, a point, anything will do for us just to get something on the board. How are you going into the game against Watford now? Is it wanting to turn that 1 into 3?
Well, of course, but we also need to collect points, and we're at a position now where pivotal part of our season really. We have Spurs in the FA Cup next week. Massive, big game for both clubs. And we have a league programme where we're kind of sitting right bang in the middle. So for us, and the injury crisis and hits that we've had, to get a win on Saturday and with the guys coming back is going to be a massive boost for us. And I think that's all we can focus on this weekend. Try and win the game against a good Watford side. And then welcome our guys back knowing that we're going to be better going forward.
Have you been a fan of what Flores has done this season in terms of a strike partnership, which is something we don't see as much of anymore, but with Dini and Igalo?
Well, I'm a fan of the manager because I think he's a gentleman. I think he's gone around his business in a very professional manner. He has great CV. It was a great signing by Watford. And the players have followed great managers. So the players are lucky, in my opinion, to have him. And he's also lucky to have a good set of players there, good leadership, a lot of foreign personnel there, and to keep that spirit that Watford come up with, it is not easy, and they've done that very well.
Do you think they've been one of the surprise teams this season?
For sure.
In terms of being overachievers?
Well, I think that's slightly critical for me to say that. I just think they've been solid in every game. Their home record defensively is fantastic, and it's their home form, driven by core fans, by the way, that is very impressive. I think on the road they would like to improve, and obviously they'll be looking at us as a potential target for a win.
Did you always think they were too good a side to be in a relegation fight?
No, because I never think any side's too good. Things can go against you, and things fall in such a way that you end up finding yourself in a relegation battle. And Watford haven't had any of that happen to them, and they've had good form, kept it going, got results when they needed it to. I think they had a tricky run just recently and then got a great win. So, no, it's you're never too good, but they're having a good season, no doubt about that.
We saw against Swansea your very first academy player in the first team, 20 minutes for Boateng at the end. That must be promising for fans as well, especially him being a South London lad too. Well,
you hear me speak in these press conferences often about the squad size, that it's been an advantage for teams like us. And the bigger sides are concentrating on the younger players, because if you can get 3 or 4 from the academy, they don't need to be on your list. And if they're good enough, that's going to be a massive asset to you as a football club. H, which I call him, has got a great chance of being one of those 4 key players for us next year. It's something we're working on and looking at, because we feel through the academy that we have some improving to do. Since I've been at this football club, the facilities they've had have not been good enough. That's partly due to me making sure that the first team had the facilities right for them. So our concentration in the summer will be very, very strong on the academy.
No, it's okay, go.
Sorry, while you've been on this difficult run, have you changed significantly the way you've been coaching the players, the way you've been managing them, or have you accepted that maybe the injuries that you've had have been part of the problem?
Well, I think you can't get away from the fact that key players affect your form. And we've lost key players in one area, really. Our offensive area got completely wiped out. So we've strengthened in the window with Big Addy coming in, and now they're coming back. So that bodes well for us. In terms of answering your question, though, of course, we just try to win every game with the resources you have. And if they might be lesser resources, that doesn't mean you can't win. So we've tried to win every game. Some games, I have to say, the character and spirit we've shown has been of the highest order. But just that little bit of quality, that moment, and sometimes a refereeing decision or a break going your way, because we've had some bad calls on this run as well, and it happens. And very rare you go for a Premier League season, particularly a club of this size, without having a difficult period. And this is a difficult period for us. But that point last week might just see, put us on the right track. I hope so.
You mentioned Adebayor, and is he closer to being ready, a match fit to play a Premier League game? Do you think? I know you said maybe he has to sort of put himself back into playing English football.
Yeah, I think the instinctive part of the game is something that isn't going to kick in for a little while for him. In terms of his fitness, his levels at Swansea were really good as the strikers that we play. So I don't see a problem in that. But your instinct of where a ball is going to go and how's it going to land, how's it going to bounce, that kind of action in the Premier League is key. It gets you that half a yard, and that's probably what we're looking for him to gain. But of course, every day on the training ground here is going to be an improvement in him. He's settled in really, really well, and we're looking forward to him starting on Saturday. He'll definitely start.
In the meantime, you're relying on Scott Dan for your goals.
Yeah, well, it's always nice to have a centre half who scores goals, and he's had a terrific season. Even during this period, our defence has been really stretched at times. We've had to loosen it a little bit to try and get goals. I can tighten it up again now, I think, because of the offensive players we've got coming back. And of course, one feeds into the other. But he's been very, very important in this period.
So there, now you've heard what Pardew's had to say. That concludes my match preview of Crystal Palace versus Watford. But make sure to come back after the game for my post-match review of this weekend's game. So thanks for watching, and remember to up the Palace.